you have to remember, once again, just because something's simple doesn't mean it's easy. Welcome back, and thank you for joining me for another reaction video. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe, turn on notifications, and then you'll get alerts when these go live, and you get to see them straight away, and that's pretty cool. A long time ago, what feels like a long time ago now, we took a look at a band called Shepherd's Reign, and within minutes of it being up, I had loads of comments saying, you have to take a look at Alien Weaponry. They're another band from New Zealand. I was like, of course, if they've been mentioned in the same vein as Shepherd's Reign, then I need to see them. So did a quick Google search to see if I could find out anything interesting before we looked at the music. And so they're a trio, two brothers in the band again. Seems to be a theme from New Zealand. I'm all for it because I was in a band with my brother and it was awesome. They formed in Auckland, but they're from Waipu, and they sometimes sing in Maori, which I believe this song probably will be because of the name. I hope so, at least. But yeah, looking at a song called Ahi Kā. I hope I'm not messing that up absolutely too much because that would be embarrassing. But yeah, nothing else to say other than I'm very excited. Alien Weaponry, Ahi Kā. Let's see what you got. Napalm Records. Very interesting build up so far. I love when there's like an obvious kind of cultural influence in music. So obviously one he's singing in Maori. I love what they're doing in terms of the modification of his vocals. Sounds like there's a pitch shift. There's a lot of modulation on there. Makes it sound very menacing almost. I obviously don't know what he's saying. I will look at the translation afterwards. That's kind of the one downfall when it's not in the language that you understand is you kind of sometimes you lose the message. So I hope that isn't the case here. The guitar picking almost sounds, again, a little bit menacing, a little bit like kind of sinister, the way they're ringing out. And then you've got that, I guess it's a traditional instrument. It's looks like a flute, but it's probably another name for it. And I love how that's kind of having those long ring out notes and then the quick wobbles when he hits the hammer on one of the notes or the holes. And then you have your traditional drums. So there's enough to it that makes it feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it definitely feels like it's building. And those quick drum accents are adding the urgency. And so far, very cool. Love what he's doing to the cymbals. I'm just going to pause it there because it feels like it's shifting into another part of the song. I'll go back a bit. What they're doing there is actually quite a common technique. So if you do those hammer-on pull-ups with your distortion, and you have like other flange or phase effect where you are basically using your foot to change the modulation of the tone. So it's shifting from something that is quite a MIDI, low mid sound to something that's got a lot more brightness and characteristics in the top end of the EQ. It's very common, but it's very effective. And I like that the drums picks up a little bit of that intensity. Bassist is really doing well at accenting some of those kick notes, but it sounds like it's shifting into something heavier. So that's why I wanted to stop now and before we get there. It feels like they're like teasing us almost. It's kind of cool. There you go. Nice. Just need to stop there. First of all, just solid riff. Simple but solid. Simple but really effective. I'm going back because I want you to hear just as he was about to start his vocal, you could hear like a breathing vocal sound come in, and I've spoken about it on other tracks where they use a cymbal and they reverse the cymbal runoff to create like a shh. They've done that almost with a bit of vocal here, so listen to that kind of the breathy vocal that's drifting in to add a little bit more intensity to when he starts his actual vocals. love what they went into there. Obviously, don't understand what he's saying, so I'll go back to the lead in again. But don't understand what he's saying, so that's the only downfall again. But I love that they had those gang vocals in the second half of each of his sentences to help provide that kind of power. And actually, it's a funny thing. Whenever you see bands recording in studio like this, they don't typically all record, for those of you who don't know, at the same time. They may do ghost tracks. And ghost tracks are where you record as a band to a click track or metronome, and then you start to remove instruments one by one and you replace them with the actual recording. So that basically what you're doing is you're allowing the person recording the replacement track to have a feel of the live band with him. But nonetheless, him standing as far as away from the mic as he is actually something that's been represented in the audio. Now, he's in a studio, and I don't know if he did his actual vocals in a vocal booth or just out there. But even then, there is something to be said about natural reverberation with the further away you get from the mic, and you get all those characteristics of the room coming in. And I think it's really good because he isn't really singing; he's more shouting in tune, but it works.
Oh, the Queen. This year, I am doing so from New Zealand. Auckland is, I suppose, as far as any city in the world from London. Despite all that, however, I find myself today completely and most happily at home. New Zealand. Completely and most happily at home.
I like what they're doing there again, because they've obviously got this recorded piece that they're playing over, right? This with that lot of radio static. So they've stripped back a lot of the instrumentation. You've got slight picking on the guitar. You've got the bassist accenting some of the kick work, but the drummer's been really smart because he's hitting one of the bells on his ride, I think it is. So that's when you hit the little dome-shaped piece at the kind of center of the cymbal, and it creates that high ping, and he's creating this kind of, I guess, an accent within the loop that he's playing. And you don't want to overdo that because the point is to listen to the recording. But yeah, I just think that was smart. The rhythm of that vocal pattern is actually really catchy. I was just kind of zoning out on it there for a little bit. I really like that. I like it. It's so simple. It's so simple. But and I have to make this clarification. There is a difference in things being cool because they are different, and being cool and because they're good. And this happens to be both, which I quite like. They look young, and I'm sure they've got a long way to go, but what they're producing, what they're doing is unique, and also there are nice technical elements to that which make me smile and go, yeah, you really care about what you're doing, and you put together a good song. Wish I knew what he was saying. And then interestingly here, I just paused. So he's playing on your Les Paul shape, but he's got that little switch at the top down, which is normally what I would do to when I was playing more lead pieces or solos, because it adds like a brightness to that treble as opposed to that stronger rhythm. But I definitely don't hear that in the recording. So be interesting. I'd love to know what his kind of effects and setup are in terms of his pedals and his amp. Come on now. There you go. Hang on, let's read this. In preparation for where I was about, yeah. History's a harsh thing. I guess there definitely was a deeper meaning to that song, and I'm sure lyrically, if I go and look back at the translation, I'll find it, or at least I'll find part of it. I really liked it. I thought they really upped. The song grew. It kind of built on itself. The only criticism I would have is I would have loved that heavier piece to make an appearance a bit earlier. I think it was really good in terms of just upping the ante and upping the energy before the song ended, but could it have grown a little quicker? Possibly. But then again, that's speaking without the context of hearing the message. So it's probably a little bit silly to say. But musically, I liked a lot of what they were doing. I think it was very simple, but you have to remember, once again, just because something's simple doesn't mean it's easy, or doesn't mean there wasn't a lot of thought put into it. And I think it did a very good job of that. So funny how obviously they mentioned in the Shepherd's Rain conversation, but I could not think of two bands that sound more different. There's some similarities, of course, one being language, but in terms of musicality, very, very different. So I quite like that. I like that there's, we're only probably beginning to scratch the surface of like traditional New Zealand metal, if you will. So really looking forward to hearing more from these guys and Shepherd's Rain and anybody else that you know of. So please let me know in the comments where to go next and what song is probably a good one to jump onto from this. And hopefully there's some live stuff as well. That'll be very, very cool. I really enjoyed that. So thank you very much for sending it my way. Until the next one, please be safe, be nice to each other, and have a damn good day.